Hi and welcome to this chess video. I am Fidemaster Ingvar Jóhannesson from Iceland. Didn't have a chance to make a video yesterday, but let's try to catch up. So I'm going to look at and review a key game from round 3. Unfortunately, the game of Magnus Carlsen wasn't all that interesting. He had the black pieces against Vidit and managed to get a pawn up rook ending and tried to win it for 60 moves, which wouldn't have made for a very fun review. So we're going to look at a more key game here. Nepomniachtchi started with 2 blacks and managed to win against Giri and draw against Magnus Carlsen, so a very good start for him. And here in the 3rd round he's meeting the former world champion Vladimir Kramnik. Now Nepo opens here with e4. He likes to play e4, sometimes he plays c4 as well, actually a lot, but he goes for e4 in this game. And yeah, we have e5 by Kramnik, knight f3, knight c6, the Ruy Lopez after bishop to b5. And Kramnik goes for knight f6, and he is, well, we can sort of say the godfather of the modern Berlin. He brought the opening back, and it actually brought him the world championship in 2000 when he beat Garry Kasparov. Kasparov was unable to break the Berlin Wall. Nepo castles, knight takes e4 and rook e1. So d4 is the main move here, the most common move, which was played in the World Championship match between Kasparov and Kramnik, and we get this famous Berlin endgame that Kramnik held so efficiently against Kasparov. But rook e1 is also a very common move, which leads to a different kind of position. Knight takes e5, bishop to e7, and the bishop goes back to f1. Of course the bishop's attacked now, so we have to move it, and it goes all the way back to f1. A nice square being made available by the rook coming to e1. Black captures on e5 because otherwise white might inflict the double pawns now. Castles, d4, bishop to f6, rook to e1, rook to e8, and white plays c3 here. So we have a trade, and the knight goes back to e8. So black's main idea here is to play d5, and this is all very theoretical. If black manages to play d5, let's say for example after a move like bishop to f4, d5, we have a position that might arise from the exchange French. And these positions are very symmetrical and very hard to make anything happen. I mean, black can even play c6 if he wants, and we have complete symmetry, very slight edge for white, but very hard to make anything of it. So this actually explains a move such as d5, which d5 here, which was played by Nepo. So white tries to gain a little bit of space and hope to make something of it. Now the general solution here has been to play c6 here, which Caruana has done to draw against Giri. Radzhabov has played it as well. So that seems to be the stamp of approval at the top level, but Kramnik plays b6, and I believe he played it pretty quickly. And the general consensus is that Kramnik, very recently, he's just trying to, well, sort of not prove anything, just have fun, get an interesting game, and it seems like he's avoiding going for the draws, even though he's playing the Berlin here. He could have played c6, which probably leads to an easier game, but he wants to keep the pieces on and to make it interesting. So let's see. Nepo just develops pieces here. He plays bishop to f4, bishop to b7. The pawn is attacked here, so Nepo defends it. Queen to d2. A better square for the queen, of course. It was just on e1 to capture the rook. And now h6. And the general idea of h6, okay, of course you make luft for the king, which is usually useful. But here the idea is to play bishop to g5 and trade the bishops. However, Kramnik doesn't really go for that after c4. he plays c6. Bishop g5 also comes into consideration because, well, you want to give your knight a square here on f6, but Kramnik goes for c6. Knight c3 now, having been made available by the pawn move c3 to c4, made this square available. Kramnik takes, and now it might look useful to take with a knight here, but you don't want to trade off this bishop. This is, after we take with the pawn, which Nepo did, this is not a very good piece, and you would like to play against it a little bit. If you take with a knight, even though white gets the bishop pair, you're helping black to sort of get rid of his problem piece. d6 now, rook e1 and knight c7, and this is sort of a problem knight. Already it wasn't too great here, and this doesn't seem to be all that great of a square. It does attack this pawn here, but if you don't win it, then you're just stuck with bad pieces. So first Nepo defends the pawn, because otherwise black would have taken on c3 and then taken on d5. But here a decision by Kramnik which was criticized. Perhaps you should have just played a normal move like queen d7 and bring the rook maybe to e8, try to trade some pieces off, relieve the pressure. White does have this space advantage, so slightly better. But he took on c3, which of course gives up the bishop pair. And this might have been okay if if he could put immediate pressure on this pawn, but he really can't. So seems like white gets more or less a risk-free advantage here with the bishop pair. Kramnik played queen to f6 here, h3, making luft for the king, rook to c8, rook to e4. Yeah, the rook is protecting both of the bishops, and also in some cases you might swing it over to g4, and there's like a recurrent feature in the position, because black has all these pieces here on the queen side, that you could like quickly swing this bishop over here, and then you already have this one over here with the queen, and if you get all the pieces here, you can see that white would have a great battery of pieces attacking the king. So this is always something that they have to keep in mind. b5 here, bishop b3, and yeah, sensing that at any moment white might switch to an attack on the king side, black needs to get counterplay, and Kramnik goes for it with a5, a3, and queen to f5. So attacking the pawn on d5, but white easily protects it. And after this check, of course it attacks the bishop, so we have to play bishop to d1. And now white is ready to just get out of this pin, play king here, and maybe improve the bishop, and then go for the plan we were talking about, just bring everything to the king side and go for mate. So Kramnik tries to go for counterplay here, b4, Nepo takes, and knight b5. Now if Kramnik had to play a move like rook d3, which he didn't do, then after rook c3, it seems like Kramnik should be able to make a draw here. After we trade, knight takes d1 check, king h2, and queen takes d5. We have opposite colored bishops, and the outside pass pawn is more or less irrelevant because it's easily controlled. But Nepo has a nice move here, queen to d3, ignoring the attack on the rook, because you're counter attacking the queen, also attacking the knight. But Kramnik has queen a1, he doesn't have to trade, attacking the rook, so we don't have time to take here. Rook e4. And, well, it's not easy. I mean, Nepo had to take into account some tactics, and Kramnik did play a tactic here, bishop takes d5. But unfortunately for him, it doesn't really work. Of course, we don't take, because knight c3, and black should be okay here. Equal material, he can move the rook and should have enough counterplay. I mean, knight d2 is threatened some positions. But Nepo plays rook to e1. And my dog is barking. Just a moment. Yeah, every dog has its day. Rook e1 was played, and yeah, now this kind of threat becomes a possibility. And at the moment, of course, these pieces are attacked, so Kramnik must do something about that. He plays bishop c4, but queen f5 attacks the rook. Rook f8, and here the position is very very good for white, and he has a number of moves. Seems like he was affected by Kramnik being in time trouble, and he played a quick move here with an easy threat, but he does have a move. B takes a5 is suggested by the computer. It's not very human, but bishop takes h6 is very human. And yeah, the point of course is that if black takes, we play queen g4 check, king moves, and we take the bishop, and we're already a pawn up. Knight is attacked, bad king, safe king for white, completely winning. But he did play king h2, which of course has the threat of playing bishop c2, attacking the queen, and threatening mate. So Kramnik plays g6, but this of course weakens the black squares around the king. h6 is under attack. First, Nepo plays queen e4, attacking the bishop. d5. Not that queen d4 now is too late. Yeah, I should mention that in this position, after king h2, queen d4 would have been the best move, and would have given Kramnik some chances to fight. So king h2 wasn't optimal, but it was a good move. Bishop takes h6 was better. But yeah, after g6 as played in the game, queen e4. Now queen d4 is too late because we can just take it and then play rook e4. Aside from the fact that d6 would hang. So Kramnik played d5 and now queen e7. And it's already lost, but Kramnik made the final blunder here. A takes b4, and after bishop to e5, he resigned. The queen is attacked, and next move is queen f6 and mate on g7. So that's all she wrote. An excellent start for Nepo, 2.5 out of 3, and he is definitely a contender in this tournament. So Magnus already a full point behind Nepo, and having already played him, so Magnus has some catching up to do. I guess we'll see in the next few rounds. Once again, if you haven't, I would really appreciate subscription down there, and another video up there. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.